The last minor premiership game of the season here at Brookvale as Ryan Girdler gets us underway with a high kick-off. It wasn't a long one. And it's taken there by Shipway, who will bring it back outside the Eagles 20. Hopewadi will start the game as he's played the season, getting into dummy half and picking up some good metres for the home team. Here's Jason King. Speaking of fines this year, he has had a tremendous season himself. Randall working it down that short side as he comes back to Shipway once again. Here's Beckett, still one of three players in this side today to be re-signed for 2003, but the Eagles hope to have his signature locked up in the next couple of weeks. The kick comes down to Chris Hicks. Took an incredible catch off a bomb last week which set up the Panthers try, which put them in the lead against the Knights, but they couldn't hang on, and now Wesser is tackled here at the 30-metre line. Hopkins, those blonde locks at the moment after a recent hair colouring job, takes it forward, and now Martin Lang gets his first touch. Gets them up towards the halfway line. Joel Clinton, he was on the receiving end of that high tackle from Andrew Johns last week. Johns was found guilty, but had no suspension to serve after the charge was downgraded. And now Gower puts the kick in to Robert Miles. As you said before the game, Laurie, he's done a very good job filling in for Brendan Reeves, who's out for the rest of the season.
Well, he has, and you can certainly be sure that he will be tested here this afternoon with Girdler and Gower. But the Panthers, after their first kick chase, they make the tackle. They've got to be aware of Hopewadi getting out of dummy half. The markers must be splitting, put Hopewadi down as quickly as possible and stop the roll that he creates for the forwards.
Here's Dorn, first receiver, giving it away to Danny Lima, who was only just stopped by the ankle-grabbing tackle there of Paul Fatuira. Here's Kosev. Just inside the Panthers 40. Dorn again playing the first receiver on that right-hand side of the field with Ferris on the left-hand side. They find the in goal here, and they'll make Hicks work it out from deep inside Panthers territory.
And it's already very noticeable, Warren, as the Eagles give away a penalty for holding down in the tackle, that the Eagles, when they're getting the ball out of their own red zone, that they are really targeting Ryan Girdler. They're working it down a short side. The Panthers do come up hard on the open. They tend to just stay back a little bit on the short side. The Eagles are getting good yardage already in this set of six.
Hold here, Eagles, hold.
Tapped by Prittis and given to Martin Lang. Stopped with a good low tackle there by Jason Ferris. John Cross taking it up towards the halfway line when he plays it. Comes back to Prittis again, and now Gower through the hands of Girdler. Away to Wesser, Fatuira. Got a step past Mark Shipway, but that's no easy task. He's really been putting on some big hits in the second half of the season since the Eagles' defence improved remarkably. And now Gower off an offload. A good fend on Lima. Came to Miles. Got it on to Cross, and the Panthers will score first this afternoon. Terrific try, and what a fend from Gower to create the break. It came from the second phase, and the Panthers lead the Eagles 4 points to 0.
And it was a good offload there by the Panthers, and Craig Gower has shown plenty of courage this season. About 5 weeks ago, a compound fracture of his finger. Really didn't have much to come back and play for the rest of the year. Could have taken a couple of weeks off. He decided to play on, and off an offload from Lee Hopkins, just splitting the Eagles' defence wide open. Great palm on Denny Lima, just drawing the fullback Miles, and John Cross backing up in support for the first 4-pointer.
Well, it was a great pass by Lee Hopkins, as you said, Laurie. That really got the momentum going forward. Craig Gower always ready to back up a forward. If there's any opportunity to receive a pass, he'll be there. It was a great fend. John Cross, all the experience in the world, backed up on the outside.
And Girdler from pretty much right in front. Didn't have an easy day last week against the Knights when most of his conversion attempts were from very wide out. But this one from right in front, sticks it between the posts, and the Panthers giving the Eagles a bit of an early start here at 6 points to 0. Barely 5 minutes gone here at Brookvale. A little bit of a hush over this home crowd, knowing that their side can cement a berth in the finals with the win here. They can still make it if they lose. But they'll then be relying on the Newcastle Knights to beat the Dragons at Aussie Stadium this afternoon. Here's Gower, giving it to Cross, the try scorer. Brings it back out towards the 20. Good start from the Panthers. The heavy metres back up towards the halfway line off the back of the penalty before Gower's brilliance split the defence wide open. Here is Clinton. He found some good youngsters at Penrith this year. He is certainly amongst them. Trent Waterhouse also coming off the bench in recent weeks. He's playing in A grade for Emu Plains last year. We'll see him in action this afternoon. He's a real find as well. And now Lang is inside the Eagles 40 on the last tackle. Gower will spread it as they elect to run it this time. Girdler running at them, got it back to Fatuira. A good ball as well. It came back on the inside there for Colin Ward, and Reece Wesser will score the second try, and the Panthers are handing the hat to the Eagles at the moment.
Well, it's a great start by the Penrith Panthers. I'm sure not only are their fans jumping up and down already after 7 minutes, but the Canberra Raiders will be quite excited about the prospect of the Panthers winning this afternoon. Fifth tackle option, running the football, and the offload again from the Panthers players. Fatuira, Colin Ward and Ryan Girdler, and one of the best support players in the business, Reece Wesser, backing up in support.
Well, the Eagles were guilty of just hanging back waiting for the kick. But as far as the Panthers were concerned, they decided to run the ball and they just backed up. Everyone was in a spot to receive a pass, including Colin Ward, who did very well for a big man to be in that position. Through the final pass to Reece Wesser, it was a great try for the Panthers.
Well, two things early in this game are really standing out to me. One is the offloading ability this afternoon of the Panthers. They haven't done a great deal of it this season. And also the Manly defensive line, or the Northern Eagles defensive line. Last week against the Warriors, they were really sprinting off their line. They were getting numbers in their tackles. They were playing an up and in defence. But this afternoon, they've gone back to their up a few steps to hold and start to slide out. And at the moment, the Panthers are taking full advantage of that.
Now Girdler from wide out to make it 12 points to nil. This one just hooked it to the left-hand side. They lead by 10. We've had less than 8 minutes here. I'll be happy back on the bench. John Lang and Peter Mulholland watching on. A long time to go here. It has been a sensational start from the Panthers. They look good with the ball. Took the chance to run it on the last tackle. Came up with 4 points. Here's John Cross again. Bringing it back out. See if that Panthers attack can continue here, or the Eagles find a little bit of steel in their defence. Lang. He charged up now forwards. Find the tough meters a little bit easier. Buoyed by those 2 early tries, and Clinton has them back to the 40 after 4 tackles here. Pritis going from dummy half. Pinches about 8 metres. Will take the tackle there. They're back towards the halfway line when they'll kick it here. A little bit better than they were in the first couple of sets. And the kick comes down to Hopewadi. Need him to get involved and come up with some of those trademark runs from dummy half that he's been able to pull off in 2002. Now Ferris comes to the left-hand side where Creary tries to split that gap between Lewis and Gower. Randall from Menzies, away to Danny Lima, who bites the turf at the halfway line. Keep it going to the right-hand side. Kosev giving it to Lenny Beckett. He can put a step on. Hopewadi. Here's Dawn, flat ball, a good one as well to Jason King. Got it down within 30 metres of the Panthers' try line. What sort of option do they take on the last tackle here? Here's Ferris giving it away. It came to McDougall. He couldn't hang on to it. And they put it down on the last tackle. It was building for them. Pass wasn't a bad one. McDougall was entitled to take it. He was looking to keep it going to Creary on his outside. It was a break for the Panthers. They forced the issue there. Pritis came up with a pass from Martin Lang, and now Wesser gets in the dummy half. takes it up towards the halfway line.
Hold here, hold.
Clinton, picked off by Shipway, but he was able to offload to Hopkins. Staying alive with it, running down the field with defenders on his back, and he's down within 40 of this Eagles line again. Able to pick up some metres here. Here's Fatuira slipping away from tackles, stopped by Beckett. Now they'll spread it to the right-hand side. Gower cuts out a couple to go to Wesser. Pushes away from the Ferris tackle, now gives it to Chris Hicks. And spins and looks for more support on the last tackle here. Gower with plenty of room to move in, fires it wide, lovely hands by Hopkins. Here's a chance for Rooney, thinks better of it and comes back in on the inside. Now he grubbers, not such a bad one either. Ferris will need to do some work to make it back to the field of play, and will he? Yes, he does, but only just. It could have easily been a goal line dropout against the Eagles. Rooney put the kick in, Ferris on his heels, and now the Eagles get a penalty. They needed that.
Unlucky there with the Panthers. I thought they got back there 10 metres. The crowd was certainly booing. And Stephen Clark elected that they were in front of him. And the Eagles get their first penalty of the afternoon.
One thing I think the Eagles do have to do in defence is get more players into a tackle. They've got to slow the play of the ball down. That's the area where the Panthers are getting a roll on, getting quick play of the balls. And the Eagles really do have to slow that area down.
Comes to King. He was chopped down after the pass from Kosef. Scything tackle. Beautiful one at that. Now Ferris from Dawn. A ball to Shipway, which was just behind him, and there were plenty of defenders up in his face when the pass came to him from the young 5'8". Well, there was an air of expectancy when the Eagles came here today, but that balloon has been deflated in the first 12 or so minutes here, and it's very much all the Panthers at the moment. And here they are on the attack again. Girdler, a lovely pass to Rooney, who took it in his stride, steps inside Hopewadi, who hangs on to him. But they're inside the 20 with tackles up their sleeve. Here's Girdler, comes to Hopkins, keeps it going to Gower, who fires a lovely ball to Lewis. He'll score. The Panthers will pick up try number 3. And at the moment, the Eagles are tumbling out of the 2002 finals.
Well, there's still plenty of time for the Northern Eagles, but they certainly must improve their defence. It was just too easy with Luke Lewis getting an out ball off Craig Gower, getting on the outside of Ben McDougall. And from this field position, you just don't want this to happen, coming from one sideline to the other. When teams are doing that, you've really got to get up, cut the ball off and make them turn it back inside. But the Eagles, they've elected to show them outside, and Luke Lewis has taken advantage of it, going around and scoring.
Well, McDougall created the cardinal sin, didn't he, by letting the player on his outside when you're defending. You know, you don't do that. One thing he didn't do also was watch the football, and he put himself in a position where he had no way he was going to stop Lewis from getting on his outside. Once he got into the gap, they weren't going to stop him.
It's one of the easiest positions on the football field to defend against when you're on a sideline, because there's only one option. You can only go to the open side, and if they're going from long pass, if you get up extremely hard, you can cut it off. They've then got to put the ball back on the inside, and the Eagles at the moment are really struggling as far as their slide defence is concerned.
Well, they're going at a point a minute here for the time being. They can improve on that some with this attempt at conversion from Girdler, which once again swings to the left-hand side. It's 14 points to 0. They came here, as we said, looking to celebrate today. The Eagles making the finals with a victory against the Panthers. This is a performance which takes your mind back to that effort against the Cowboys in round 20. When North Queensland beat the Eagles here 30 points to 18, a game they were also expecting to win.
One of the things that's made it easier on the Eagles this afternoon is Ryan Girdler's goal kicking. Instead of being 18 points up, they're only 14, and he certainly had a fall from grace as far as goal kicking concerned, Girdler.
Certainly is now a long way from the heady days of 1997, when he was the best kicker in the league. Gower again. Loving this room he's got to move in at the moment. Running to the line with the ball in his hands. Throwing lovely passes as well. They stop him this time. Now it comes to Cross, who's met by Shipley, and there's one of those trademark hits we were talking about earlier on. Great defender, Pritis, looking from just outside the 40. A high one, and Miles, looking into the sun perhaps, has put it down. It's the only reason I can find for him putting this one down.
Well, he was looking into the sun, but I think also he wanted to take off straight away. Without having the football in his arms, he decided that he was going to sprint forward, and then he dropped the football, put his team under all sorts of pressure, and the Panthers get the ball back on the 20-metre line.
Here's Gower from the scrum. He'll be revelling in this. Girdler had Lewis outside him. And they've got some pressure to soak up here. The ball comes loose from the play of the ball. The Panthers will get a penalty. They'll get 6 more tackles here. There'll be no thought of taking the 2 points at this stage, and Pritis will just tap it and they'll go. Which is exactly what they do.
That's one.
Clinton will play it. Pritis turns it back on the inside for Hopkins. The Eagles might have come up with it here.
Eagles ball, Eagles ball, Eagles ball.
Stephen Clark says Mark Shipley has come up with it for the Eagles, and that's a huge break for them. Down 14 points to 0. I was prepared to say another try there, and it might be good night, Irene. Come up with possession, and now it's Beckett. Here's Randall. Lima. Met by Martin Lang. They'll give away a penalty as well.
That was a flop, mate. I didn't think so, mate.
Luke Pritis, the player penalised, flopping in.
And I think Craig Gower's got every right there to complain to Stephen Clark. There was one let go by Clark where the Manly player jumped in a couple of seconds after the tackle was complete. And that time there, the crowd going up, Clark jumping on them.
Up John Cross. Marcus.
Lima playing it back to Randall. Here's Kosef to King.
2.
40 metres away from this Panthers line. They've hardly had a tackle anywhere near the Panthers line so far in this game. Good hands there by Dawn. It gives it away. It comes to Beckett. Hopewadi. Picked off from dummy half by Hopkins. 2 tackles left. Here's Dawn again, playing a lot at first receiver with Ferris out here waiting for it on the open side now. We'll come to him on the last tackle. Randall with the delivery off the outside of the boot. Looking for Menzies. They've done it again. The same try they came up with.
Check the onside, please.
To beat the Dragons at Aussie Stadium in a remarkable game of football, which gave them hope to make the finals this year. And they've come up with a carbon copy.
And it's a play a lot of teams have had success with this season. Looking as though they're going to kick it to the left, and all of a sudden just hooking it straight back to the right. A lovely banana kick there by Ferris. Menzies leaping high, taking the football, putting it down near the post.
Well, it's a real well-rehearsed play. They obviously do this at training quite a lot. But Menzies still had a fair bit of work to do here. There was a number of Panthers players there. He's leapt high. At one stage he was looking to throw the ball back. Didn't realise he was over the try line. I think you'll see this will be a try, and it'll be a very good hit back by the Eagles.
Well, they're checking to see if Menzies was onside. He wasn't in the frame, but I think you could take it as granted that he was behind Ferris when the kick was put in. Boy, didn't they need that. We'll get the decision from Peter Filmer, who probably came up with a ref's call and handed back to Stephen Clark. And that's exactly what he does, and Stephen Clark says that'll do for 4 points. The Eagles are on the board. First time they go inside the Panthers 20, they come up with a try. They've narrowed that gap to 10.
He's been a remarkable player for the Manly side, Stephen Menzies. He just continues to get across the try line. That time just leaping or out-leaping Lee Hopkins, putting the ball down. They should convert this try. Should be 14-6.
Well, it was a well-weighted kick, and the height was perfect, wasn't it? It was a great leap.
There's the conversion. And they're back within 8 after being completely outplayed for the first 20 minutes. Ferris with the kick. And they are on the scoreboard in a game they need to win to remove all doubt about their participation in the finals and still make it perhaps with a loss, but that would require, as we said, the Dragons dipping out against the Knights.
They need a good set of 6 here, a good set with a good kick. They can't afford to get sloppy in this set of 6.
Change for the Panthers. Trent Waterhouse comes off the bench. Takes the place of John Clinton, who gets a breather on this very warm afternoon in early September. Finals football air about it. Craig Gower raking the ball out here. No, he didn't, said Steve Clark.
Thanks, Al.
Kosef, he can't believe it. Gives the touch judge a little bit of advice as well. Gower getting back to his feet here. Had his arm tangled up with Nick Kosef. You can make your own conclusions from that. Now the ball again backwards here. Mal Kafusi, who's out there now also for the Eagles.
Get it in there, keep it in there, hold it in there.
Perhaps unlucky.
Hold it in, Mark.
That wasn't play on.
Hold it, Mark.
I'm sure the locals would have thought that to be justice. Gower gives it to Girdler. Wesser. 3 try scorers for the Panthers. Hopkins playing down that left-hand channel this afternoon with Fataira outside him, and also Rooney as Pritis comes back to Waterhouse. He's tall and rangy. Got plenty of raps after the game last week against Newcastle from his coach John Lang. Here's Pritis turning it back on the inside for Colin Ward as Kosef and Shipway combine to stop him. Here's Girdler giving it to Gower. Ball back on the inside for Wesser. Kafusi got a piece of him, and Menzies finished it off, and a good thing they did. Here's Girdler giving it to Waterhouse, who will step through some flimsy defence. That's the 4th for the Panthers, and they open up this lead once again.
They've just fallen asleep again, the Northern Eagles, and it's not as if they've got nothing to play for. They can finish in 7th position, their heads are going down, and the Panthers in this opening stanza have really blitzed the Eagles. And Waterhouse just running onto the football. Gower from dummy half. He's just too strong for Robbie Miles.
That was very ordinary defence. It was the last tackle, and one of their more experienced players, Nick Kosef, come up with a miss there, as well as Shipway, who's renowned for his good defence, but just very ordinary. And I think, as you said, Lloyd, they've just relaxed. Being the last tackle, they expected the kick. No one was concentrating on defence. Just a simple pass. It's been a good start to the game for young Trent Waterhouse. Just come up with a 4-pointer.
Now it gets back to the Eagles' mindset coming into this game. It's always easier coming into a game where you're not expected to win it. Well, they're expected to win this one. And they're playing like a team with a fair bit of pressure on their shoulders at the moment, coming up with some mistakes in defence they haven't made for a long time. With Girdler adding the extra 2 here, they once again find themselves trailing by 14. It's the Panthers 20. Lead the Eagles 6 after 23. John Lang and Peter Mulholland scarcely believe their eyes when they look up at the scoreboard at the moment. The side expecting a very tough game again this afternoon against the side that seemed to be bound for the finals. Well, they're giving them a footballing lesson at the moment. Here is the try scorer, Waterhouse.
Number 2.
We were saying earlier, he's playing in a grand final for Emu Plains in A grade last year in the Penrith District Junior competition. Here he is out here in the big time now, and certainly living up to it. Pritis from dummy half picks up a good gain of about 10 metres again as he takes them back to the halfway line. Gower to Hopkins. Runs a long way, gets outside Hopewadi. What a ball back in the inside for Wesser. Here's Ryan Girdler. Somebody find the fire extinguisher because the Panthers are hot to trot.
Well, the kind of form they're showing at the moment, this was one of the reasons at the start of the year a lot of people were tipping the Panthers to maybe make the 8. And it seems as though they've saved their best to last. Some outstanding rugby league by the Panthers, and Lee Hopkins down that left-hand edge is having a field day. And the Eagles once again just coming up a few steps, then holding back, sliding. It just allows the opposition to get in behind the line, and the support play of the Panthers has been spot on. This time it was Girdler backing up.
Well, they've been caught short on their right-hand side defence on a number of occasions. Lee Hopkins causing all the problems. Got on the outside of Hopewadi, then a great ball back inside to Wesser. He in turn passed it back inside to Ryan Girdler, and that was a great try for the Panthers, as you say, Laurie. All coming too late for them. We expected this early in the year, but they're certainly going to finish on a good note.
Well, I think the message has got to go out to the Eagles is it's got to start with our defence. We've got to hold on to the football, but when we're defending, just jam up. Jam up in the line, be aggressive, get up, get numbers in there to tackle. Don't hang back.
Here's Girdler. Add to this scoreline, and he does that. Freedom and weep, you Eagles fans at the moment. The Panthers 26 lead the Eagles 6. I don't know about sending messages out. Perhaps they need a former Eagle and the likes of Mark Carroll, who's watching on this afternoon from the dugout. I'm sure he wasn't expecting this. The Panthers once again bring it back out from their own 20. It's John Cross who has the first hit up, as has been the pattern, and now Colin Ward. An amazing 5 tries, 25 minutes of football here to the visitors. Here's Wesser again. They're away once more. He puts a step on Miles, and he's dragged down, but only just by Kafusi. Gower from dummy half. They've got them shot to bits. He steps past Kosef. Stopped there by Miles. Offloads to Lewis. He pops one up to Girdler. They're looking for try number 6, and they will get it. Here's Hopkins. Jump in the queue. Who wants to score? Because tries are going cheap this afternoon.
Oh, well, I can't believe it. I'm absolutely stunned. A team that was playing for 7th position, and to put in a first half performance like this is just mind-blowing. And it came about with some good strength from Luke Priddis and Reece Wesser continuing on his fine season, supporting up the middle of the ruck. Some quick play of the balls. Gower and Girdler having a field day, just picking up runners. The Eagles are holding back in their defensive line. And just the support play, the offloading ability off this Panthers side. And we've mentioned it earlier, they don't do a lot of it, but today they've come out with the attitude, let's offload as much as we possibly can, let's have fun, and it's working for them.
Well, it certainly is, and as you say, their attitude is they've got nothing to lose, where on the other hand, the Eagles are under a little bit of pressure. They know they've got to win the game, but at the moment they're just not playing that way. Defensively, they're shot to pieces. They're just not controlling the man with the football. They're not stopping him from offloading the ball. And we saw Luke Priddis, who's not a very big man, was able to get through 3 or 4 tacklers. I mean, that's been the story of their day. I think they've got to come out with the attitude in the second half. Look, we've got nothing to lose. Let's give it our best shot.
Girdler again from close range adds the extra 2. And I'm out of words. It's 32 points to 6. They're out of words. They are stunned in silence, these Eagle supporters, sitting in this glorious sunshine at Brookvale on a day when they were ready to celebrate. What must that man be thinking, Peter Sharp, the Eagles coach? You wouldn't let them in the sheds at half-time at this stage. You'd make them stay out there in the sunshine at half-time and embarrass them into something. This is incredible. Penrith lead them 32 points to 6. Here's Waterhouse. Might be a competition amongst the Panthers to see if they can each score this afternoon. I'll tell you what, they're on track at the moment. There's only 17 who need to. They've already got 6 tries. They're going at a rate which would see them get there before full time. Cross will give it to Gower, kicking from inside his own 40, looking for a 40-20. Didn't have the angle on it. It was picked up by Miles, who has seen plenty of traffic running his way this afternoon. Here's Creary. The squasher. Grand Wooden is out there now as Peter Sharp looks for some inspiration. Come up with some injection off the bench. Hopewadi hasn't been able to get into the game so far. The Panthers have had so much possession. The Eagles have just had 9 sets before this possession.
No, too early. You jumped too quick.
Here's Lang giving up a penalty.
You got the mark, Kevin.
And they will go on the attack once again here, the Eagles. They need to go on the attack and then some.
Hold here. Hold, boys. Wait.
Dawn. Give it to Malkafusi. Mr. K has lost the ball here as well. It's endemic at the moment. They keep coughing up possession and they keep missing tackles. And the Panthers could hit 40 here before the break. They're still 10 minutes away. Plenty of time to do it. Luke Rooney tackled just short of the Panthers' 40-metre line. I mean, everything that's been going right for the Eagles in recent times, the good performances, such as that one against the Dragons, against the odds at Aussie Stadium, could all be brought undone here this afternoon. And of course, as Gower is tackled here into Manly territory, those Canberra Raiders fans would be absolutely dancing in the nation's capital. As a result, an Eagles loss, of course, see the Raiders qualify for the semi-finals, and that would be amazing. Here's Lang, back to the bench. And Girdler kicking for the sideline. He was hoping it was going to stay in play because Rooney was chasing through. But the Eagles will have to work it away from a scrum on their own 10-metre line.
Yeah, smart bit of play there by Ryan Girdler. Just a kick down the short side. The winger had stayed up. If it had stayed in field, it might have been an opportunity again for the Panthers. Unfortunately, just going out, but it slows the game down. The Eagles got to work the ball 90 metres upfield.
Eagles loose.
It's the right side defence for the Eagles that are causing them a lot of problems. The Panthers are just making break after break down that side, and especially Lee Hopkins.
That's one. Release him. Release him. Yeah, Lee.
Forrester. Another player off the bench for the Eagles. He takes it outside. Manly 20 here. And the Panthers are just doing it beautifully at the moment, making them work deep inside their own territory, slowing down the play of the ball. Now Dawn, back on the inside for Kafusi. Again, the 5'8" changes the direction here. Got it to Miles, who was almost away. The Panthers, and they do look stretched, keep coming up with tackles like that one made by Pritis. Dawn puts the kick in across field. We'll find Chris Hicks. Not much happening for them on the last play there. Now the Panthers again have the luxury of being in a good position when they get the ball here. Work it up towards the halfway line. Try and put something on in the last couple of tackles. Ben Rorty. Started the season in the forward pack and the run-on side for the Panthers, but has been pretty much exclusively a bench player in the second half of the year. Here's Gower again, another offload. Wesser will wear himself out. He turns Miles inside out. He may not have the pace to go with him. Wesser's in for his second try. This is an embarrassment for the Eagles at the moment. Grab your boots, boys, and put your socks on. You might score, Bert. It's 36 points to 6.
Look, he can have some good games and he can make some mistakes. But today has been Reece Wesser's one of the best games I've seen him play. The support play, just been unbelievable. And the offloading ability, and he showed plenty of pace to get round Robbie Miles.
Well, he's got plenty of speed, hasn't he? He's very strong. He loves backing up guys with the football. And as you say, he can have a good day and a bad day. Unfortunately for the Eagles, it's a good day today. It showed plenty of speed and plenty of strength. John Hopewadi coming across, but he wasn't able to stop the try. They're just lining up, as you said, Warren. They're just lining up, waiting to score.
getting out of control, this scoreline. It'll be 38 points to 6 if Girdler converts this. The Eagles must be absolutely dumbstruck. They are just dropping off tackles. The offload stat is quite incredible on its own. Here's Girdler, who gets the 2. He makes it 38 points to 6. And now the Eagles, even though there is still 46 minutes remaining in this game, they are gone today. Absolutely gone to Gowings, and they will have to wait and see what happens in the Newcastle versus the Dragons game. And Rex Mossop, a former Manly great, must be hurting inside. Jason Ferris with the restart. His right boot will need a retread before the day's out. Cross plays it back to Pritis. Colin Ward. Rorty showing it, pops a ball out the back to Waterhouse. Things are happening for the visitors today, aren't they? What a side they look suddenly. Here he is, Pritis again going from dummy half. Want to take a little dart from dummy half late in the tackle count. Kafusi gives away a penalty. They're not in the hunt. They are not in the race. The game started and they're back in the shed somewhere, this Manly side.
Well, they're certainly not helping their cause, are they, by giving away penalties on the 3rd and 4th tackle. It's just creating more defensive work for them. They can't afford to do that. I know I said earlier they've got to try and slow the play of the ball down, but really you've got to play with a bit of common sense.
Here's Colin Ward. They're looking for another one here, the Panthers. Just 20 metres away. Waterhouse lopes up towards them. Stopped downstairs by Chad Randall. Wooden over the top. Here's Gower to Girdler. Cuts out Wesser to give it to Rorty. Looking for an offload. It came to Jason Ferris, and he's knocked it on. Nothing going right for them at the moment. The Panthers trying their luck.
Jason Ferris knock on. Penrith feed loose.
And it's been nearly the perfect half of football by the Panthers. They've only made 2 mistakes with the football, and they're offloading.
Steady,
It's been first class.
Keep it in, Mark.
Just putting a lot of pressure on the Eagles.
It's out.
Girdler gives it to Fatuira. He keeps pushing away from tacklers. Here's an offload to Girdler, who was only metres away before he changed direction when Wooden came towards him. They're odds on to score here. 10's on, you would suggest. Here's Cross. A couple of metres away. It's already 38 points to 6. 4 tackles up their sleeve. Gower working with plenty of space. He gets the offload from Colin Ward. Here's Wesser. It comes to Rorty, who only had to get a clean pass away. They were going to score. They still might. There's been a knock on against Luke Lewis. Called by the touch judge, Alan Fowler. He's taken a little bit of pity on the Eagles and come up with a call here that Lewis has knocked this on.
In there, boys, on the line, in there.
He said that one was forward, in fact.
Well, you couldn't really tell from that angle, but the naked eye looked as though it went backwards. But he's in a better spot, Alan Fowler.
Here's McDougall with it from the scrum win. The numbers are quite extraordinary to this point of the match, just before half-time with only a couple of minutes left. The Panthers have 17 offloads, and the Eagles have a donut next to their name. 17 to blot. Here's Wooden. Hopewadi away from dummy half. He's lost it as well. In fact, they'll also call out Craig Gower here.
You got him one up. You got him the second go. Luke sorted him out first, and you try to finish him off. Get him down, eh? Get him down. Get your arm off his head.
That's the reason he might have come up with a small mistake here, because Pritis got him around the top, and then Rorty gave him one to go on with as he went to ground.
I don't think it was too much of an elbow in that one though, Warren.
They were pleading all sorts of things for an excuse coming up with a high tackle. Well, here's Wooden, who can take them on the attack. Well, probably the last time in this first half. Dawn. Short ball. Away to Shipway, who did it at pretty good speed, but he was chopped down by Girdler. They keep working towards him, and now Hopewadi is wrestled to the ground by Fatawira. Shane Dunley is also out there now as the Eagles have used all their replacements in this first half, looking for some answers. Forrester giving it to Ferris. Short ball to Grant Wooden, who's only 10 metres away on the last tackle. Their best hope might be the Ferris kick for Menzies again. This time he puts it through the hands. Oh, he passes to nobody. It bounces up for Girdler, and he will run away to get another try. And the Eagles are gone. Absolutely gone in what has been the worst performance by a team in 2002. In 40 minutes of football, they gave up 42 against the Sharks in one half of football a little while ago. Well, they've given up 42 here against the Panthers. And the semis, well, if they do make it, they may as well not turn up next week if they're going to perform like this. I'm absolutely shocked at what they've put on the field here this afternoon. I haven't seen a worst effort from a team for a long, long time.
Look, they've been very ordinary this afternoon, but full credit to the Panthers. I mean, they haven't had much to play for. It's their last game of the season, and their pride has certainly taken them to a new level. They want to go out on the best note possible, and Johnny Lang must be wondering why hasn't his team played like this all year. They have been great, and it's been nearly a perfect half of football for the Panthers.
Well, it must be a big headache for John Lang trying to work out what he had to do early on in the season to get his side to perform the way they have today. But just on that last pass there by Jason Ferris, it was almost as though there was a lack of communication. All the players on the outside were looking as though they expected the kick. He decided to run the football. It was a perfect pass, bounced straight up for for Ryan Girdler, sorry.
At the break, listen to this reception as the Eagles make their way towards the dressing room because their fans are going to boo them off the field, and it's 44 points to 6. On the eve of the finals they seemed destined for, they have been absolutely flogged in this first half this afternoon. And hold my coat, boys, because I'm going to go downstairs and put a Penrith jumper on and grab a couple of tries myself. We'll take a break and come back with more in just a second. It's still half-time here at Brookvale, and if you missed the first half, you missed plenty of action. 8 tries to the Panthers as they lead the Eagles 44 points to 6 at the break, and we saw plenty of this in that first half. Reece Wesser picked up 2 tries to make his season tally 18, which ties the club record for a single season with Ryan Girdler, his teammates today. And there are the stats from an amazing first half of football.
Well, it certainly was, and of course the stats are all going to favour the Panthers. You look at the possession rate for the Eagles, only 29%. They've had to do a lot of defensive work, where the Panthers, on the other hand, have had plenty of possession and they've made full use of that possession that they've had. 4-3 the penalties. Completion rate very poor for the Eagles. Panthers, on the other hand, their coach should be very happy with that. 8 line breaks, and I think they just about scored off every line break that they had. Only 4 missed tackles, where the Eagles 20 missed tackles. That's been their biggest problem, their defence. They haven't been able to put the man with the ball on the ground, and while he's been there, haven't been able to slow the play the ball down. I think the second half here, the Eagles hopefully will come out here with an attitude. They've got nothing to lose. Let's throw the ball around and see what happens, and hopefully we'll come up with some points and might possibly get away with a victory, although I doubt it very much.
Well, the Panthers haven't won here at Brookvale since 1991. They've been here 6 times since then and gone home with their Black Panther tails between their legs on every occasion. They've only won 1 of their previous 18 day games. They are very much the vampires of the NRL. They can add to that tally, that very sorry tally here this afternoon. And they can certainly add to this big scoreline if they continue on in the same vein.
Stay on side.
We will watch with interest what happens here in the next 40 minutes as the Eagles look for some respectability and the Panthers perhaps look for a record scoreline. They could tumble in the second half if their attack continues to click as it did in that first 40. Here's John Cross.
Set him up, Luke. Marcus.
Prittis goes back to the open side with Trent Waterhouse takes it up. One of 6 try scorers for them in the first half. Now Colin Ward. Gower will kick. Only in the tackle count here. On tackle 5, and it will come down to Robert Miles. Plenty of work to do, and coughed up a couple of balls in that first half as well. One poor missed catch near the sideline from a high kick as Creary plays it back. McDougall only just got there to dummy half. Runs across the field, still going as he hits it up towards the halfway line. Well, the good news for the Eagles is they couldn't be any worse than they were in the first half. The only way is up for them in this run towards full time. You would have to say almost conclusively they have been long out of the game. Jason King will play it on the last tackle. Ferris it is, who puts the kick in behind Wesser, who lets it bounce. And it's Hicks who will bring it back from the Penrith in goal area. Well, able to make plenty of metres, working the ball away from their own end in that first half. And here's Wesser again, going for a gain of about 12 and getting a little bit of a facial work over as well from Shane Dunley, which he wasn't too happy about. Prittis gives it off to Rorty. Needs some stiff defence on this occasion, supplied by Grant Wooden and also Jason King. Went back to the open side, and Wooden was too quick away from marker. He wasn't square. So another soft penalty given up by the Eagles. Gow will find the line, and the Panthers again will apply the blowtorch. Here's Prittis, giving it off to Colin Ward. Waterhouse, 25 out from the Eagles line with tackles up their sleeve as Prittis ducks back to the short side. He's got John Cross there with him. Rooney's also there, one-on-one with Hopewadi before Beckett comes in to make the tackle. Gower, what a half he had. And run around here with Rorty. This time the Eagles defence gets up quickly in his face and turns him back on the inside. We didn't see too much of that in the first half. Hopkins eventually will play it. They'll go to the right-hand side again. Here's Girdler chipping back in behind them. And the Panthers were chasing through. They didn't know the kick was coming.
Yes or no? Yes.
Hopewadi from dummy half, running away. Beats the first tackle. Couldn't get himself into the game in the first half. Well, they need him, and then plenty. There'll be any chance in the second half. McDougall. Hopewadi came out of that tackle. Grimacing, he might have hurt something. There's Mitch Creary it is. Takes it down the left-hand side of the park, and now Ferris. Cuts out a couple to give it to Menzies. A lone try scorer in that first half as he's wrapped up just inside the Penrith 40. 5 tackles gone, and it will come to Ferris, who this time puts it high in the air. Wesser, who has his moments under the high ball, didn't want to know anything about that one. Wasn't going to be able to get to it on the full, was just backing away from it. And luckily for the Panthers, it bounced straight to the winger, Chris Hicks.
Well, I'm sure that'll be a tactic they'll use a lot of in the second half, looking to put the ball up in the air or run it on the last tackle. The only option for the Eagles is to attack on every opportunity. Just playing for field position is not going to be good enough.
One thing I'd like to see the Eagles do, that the Panthers did outside backs do move up very quickly, and I think the opportunity's there with a little kick over the top.
As Fatoira gets a lovely ball from Colin Ward, who beat a couple of soft tackles. He comes back infield here. There was plenty of support there screaming for it, but he couldn't link up with them. Prittis and Girdler were waiting, and now it's Gower on the last tackle. He puts a high kick in. Luke Lewis is out there. He'll jump for it. He'll bring it down, and the points rampage continues at Brookvale. Warm up the hearse because they're celebrating on the terraces, those few Panthers fans who have come here today. It's 48 points to 6, and the Eagles are as dead as a dodo.
And if they had a slight chance of winning this game, the Eagles, they had to be the first to score in the second half. And it was just too easy again for the Panthers, just playing the numbers down a short side. Colin Ward, what a buy he has been for this club. He's been sensational this year, played 21 games. And then the last tackle option, no pressure put on Craig Gower. He had all the time in the world. And Luke Lewis has proven himself under the high ball. Has played a number of games on the wing, just leaping, getting the football, putting it over under the sticks.
Well, it was a great kick by Gower, plenty of height, and of course you've got a man running onto the football against another man standing flat-footed. Lewis did very well, got under the football there. It's been a good start in the second half for the Panthers, and I think that'll be, the Eagles will be gone. They started the second half very confidently, but after that try, that'll be the finish of them.
We are at the half century, and we've only had 47 minutes so far this season. If you remember back to the blackest day in the Eagles' history, which was the 14th of April 2002 this year, when they were beaten by the Warriors 68 points to 10. And nobody thought it could get worse than that. And here they are in round 26 with everything to play for, and they haven't found the directory which takes them to Brookvale Oval. This can't be the Eagles out here. It's somebody impersonating them, surely. Here's the Panthers again, working it away from their own end. The Panthers might be set to break a couple of records, as we said, of their own. Their biggest win in the club's history was back in March of '99 when they beat the West Magpies 60 points to 6. They are a chance of eclipsing that, and then some here this afternoon. It's already 50 points to 6. Reach Wesser, of course, a chance to break the club record for most tries in a season, which he currently shares now with Ryan Girdler. The kick from Gower, taken by Miles, but not all that convincingly. He runs into the shoulder of Girdler. We've got half an hour left here for the Eagles, and they could score 4 tries here. They wouldn't get anything back what they've lost in this first 50 minutes. And if they do somehow, some way manage to stumble into the finals, you have to fear for them in week 1 next weekend. And they would take on either the Newcastle Knights or the New Zealand Warriors, the team who beat them by 58 earlier this year. Here's Beckett playing it back, and it comes from Dunley to Luke Dawn, who puts it high in the air. Wesser standing underneath it, took it eventually on his knees.
It's a push from Steve Menzies.
And they'll get a penalty. The Eagles all day have just been happy to give them penalties inside their own 20. This time it's Menzies who just knocks over Wesser. He is beyond frustration, I'm sure, at the moment.
Hold here, Eagles, hold.
They will get their money the easiest way possible this afternoon. The cheerleaders, they may as well go home.
Wait.
Put the pom-poms away for season 2002, Bert.
They might have to throw some jumpers on, I think. Get them out there, they couldn't do any worse.
Here's Rorty, bouncing off the shoulder of Jason King. How does a team who are 1 game away from the finals, and as we said, they still may make it, depending on what happens between the Knights and the Dragons, but how do you put in a shocker like this? Girdler kicking from just inside the Panthers' 40. It will go close to finding the sideline. Robert Miles within an ace of having his foot on the line when he picked up the ball. He might have in fact come back into the field from just outside the field of play. Here's Miles though, taking it down the middle of the park. Well, there he is, a left foot and a right foot on the line. He was out when he caught the ball. I suppose they're entitled to something here this afternoon. It's a minor break for them. It won't mean much in the long run. Here's Dawn though, giving it to Wooden. Just outside the 30. They haven't looked like being in the hunt this afternoon with the ball in their hands. Dunley from dummy half, who was good last week as they beat the Warriors at this very ground. Those 2 performances couldn't be more stark, the difference between them. Beckett gives it away to Dawn. He lost it forwards. It was knocked down there by John Cross, and here's Wesser again. They can't pick him up. He's weaving into holes, still going. And then Ferris came in very late in the day to flop in over the top and give him a bit of a reminder as well. Well, it's first grade, but that's about the only way the Eagles are reminding them that it's first grade, with a couple of late ones after the tackle has been completed.
It's just too easy, isn't it, for the Panthers? They are on a roll. They want to score more points.
Change for the Panthers, number 17, Shannon Donato.
Clinton playing it here to Donato, who must have been chomping at the bit to get out there, and with his first touch he almost runs away and scores himself. Girdler comes back to the right hand side. If they sprint it, they must score. A short ball from Gower. Lewis will get up and plant it over the line to pick up a hat trick.
Pete. Yeah, he got exactly right. Check for a double movement, please.
Well, they will check to make sure that this wasn't a double movement, but Lewis was able to keep going and then get up and just plant the ball down. He hits the deck here. Forrester reaching out as Lewis was still going. He reaches down and puts the ball down. You rarely get to say it, and rarely do you see it, but I'm prepared to say at this stage that the Eagles have given it up. They have turned it up here in this second half because they are just not on the same page as the Panthers.
Well, I think that the problem that's going to face the Panthers at the moment will be that they'll be getting in each other's way trying to score tries. That's going to be their biggest problem. Everyone's there lining up wanting to score tries. I think this one will be awarded. I think his momentum has got in there. But as you say, Warren, the Eagles, very disappointing, and it just makes you wonder how these guys were prepared mentally. I mean, they've got everything to play for, and they've come out here as though they were the side at the bottom of the table.
They certainly have. Lewis waiting on. He definitely thinks he scored. The mind he has. And the decision will be a try. Video referee Peter Filmer. It's 54 points to 6. Well, a Panther who's played plenty of first grade in his time. Ned Cannick is in the crowd here today. That was him whooping it up in front of the grandstand here at Brookvale. As I said in the call, they only had to go to their right-hand side and they were going to score. And Luke Lewis picks up his second hat-trick of the season.
Well, he's got it all, Luke Lewis. He doesn't mind getting the ball with a bit of space, bit of room. And the other thing I like about him playing in the centres, he will hit a hole off the ball player. And that time, a lovely pass by Gower, just hitting the short pass and getting his second hat-trick of the year.
And that was the key to that, wasn't it? That he did run the angle. He saw where the gap was and ran into the gap. Good pass by Gower. Still did a little bit of work to get there, but to come up with a 4-pointer.
Well, they're still going at a better rate than the clock, which quite obviously puts them on pace for 80 plus. And Girdler could rack up something of a personal record, an individual game here this afternoon. Luke Lewis now is on 17 tries. There's a chance of tying that club record. There's the Panthers' biggest ever win, as we told you, 60 points to 6 back in 1999 against West. And Ryan Girdler, a chance to break his own record of 28 points in a game, which happened to be against Manly, also back in July of 1999. Ferris with the restart. And it's Rorty who brings it back out for the Panthers. 56 points to 6. Scott Sattler watching on from the Panthers bench, of course suspended on Wednesday night for a high tackle out of the game last week against Newcastle. He must be kicking himself. He's missed out on the fun here today. He'd have had his hand up for 2 or 3 himself. Clinton with it at the 40-metre line. Gower kicking from inside that 40, down the middle of the park. A good roll on it as well as Miles goes back, almost back to his own goal line to pick it up. And he's away. The Panthers have finally missed a tackle. It comes to Gower, who couldn't get him. It comes back to Ferris, and now to Creary as the Eagles go 70 metres to take it inside the Panthers 30. McDougall. Ferris now. Here's Menzies. The Panthers haven't done such a bad job of realigning the defensive here. Here they are inside the 20 with Dawn playing it. Dunley going away from dummy half. Stopped by Clinton. Wesser over the top. Chance to score just their second try of the game. Ferris out the back. Dawn picked it up before he knocked it on. Flips it up for Kosef. They don't seem to know where to go. Miles just standing and watching and waiting as the Panthers didn't rush up rather. They just waited on their line, kept a straight line. And here's Dunley again going from dummy half. And speaking of lines, he plants it down on the try line.
And here's one player that can hold his head up high, Shane Dunley. He's looked dangerous in this second half. Hasn't had a great deal of time on the football field, but every time he's run the ball from dummy half, he has looked dangerous, looked as though he was creating something and run with a bit of purpose. And that time there, he deserved the 4-pointer. It came about Robbie Miles, a great run. And the Panthers, you mentioned, they regrouped earlier after the break was made against them. And the support play was coming. It's certainly been lacking this afternoon.
Well, it's great work by Dunley, and they're on the way back, the Eagles. They are on the way back. At the start at this rate, they should be able to pick up the extra 44 points in about 3 weeks.
If the Panthers don't turn up. The kick was good. And the Panthers lead them 56 points to 12.
Downside, boys.
Penrith make the 7th interchange of the day, with Trent Waterhouse coming back on, and Girdler. There's had plenty of kicking practice, but all of them for goal this afternoon. Supplies the restart. It's King who brings it back out. Good tackle down low by Shannon Donato. Beckett, that distinctive style, takes him up towards the 40. Opawati. It's his quietest game of the season here this afternoon. And here we are, almost midway through the second half, and the Eagles only on their 22nd possession for the game to this point. Usually you rack up that many and a half of football. Dunley. They've just been dominated by the Panthers all afternoon. Ferris, good hands from Dawn. Ball back on the inside for Miles. Who's away again? Wesser showed him the sideline, and Miles took the chance to pick up a try.
Well, Brett Kenny might have been right. They are on their way back, the Eagles.
Hang on. Hang about. There's 23 minutes left and they're 40 behind.
The Panthers starting to get a little bit tired around the middle of the park. And the inside ball, Luke Dawn onto Robbie Miles. He's looked dangerous in open space. Wesser giving too much room. Had no other option. Scoring in the corner, Robbie Miles.
Well, as you said, Laurie, they are getting tired. The Panthers, they've done a lot of running, scored a lot of tries. You can understand why they are getting tired, but it was good work there. Robert Miles backing up, just had too much pace for Reece Wesser.
Luke Lewis, after picking up a hat-trick, limping back to the Panthers bench. Miles, his try, converted from wide out. Good kick by Jason Ferris. It snuck inside the right-hand upright. And they close that gap. It's now only 38. 56 to 18 it is. We're 58 minutes gone here at Brookvale. If only the Panthers had started the season this way instead of finishing it. Cast your mind back to round 1 against Parramatta at Parramatta Stadium. It was a similar scoreline, but it was the Eels who won that one, 64 points to 6. Dunley giving it away to Danny Lima, who's back out there, comes up with an offload. They didn't have one in the first half, the Eagles. They picked up a few in this second half and grabbed a couple of tries off the back of it. McDougall now takes it up towards the 30-metre line. Lima again. Takes his second hit up instead of 6. 10 on their own side of halfway. Here's Dunley looking to spark something once again. Pass it back to Menzies, who offloaded to Ferris, showed it, wheeled, was touched by Ryan Girdler. Stephen Clark says 6 more tackles for the Eagles.
That's now 0.
That will be the 0 tackle, as you hear Stephen Clark say. And now Hopewadi from dummy half.
That's now 1. Keep coming, Reece.
Takes it forward down the middle of the park for a settler. He'll play it back to Dunley. Working things nicely on the dummy half role at the moment. Now the Panthers are up inside the 10.
That's the mark.
Quick tap. Dunley goes. They're up inside the 10 and probably should have been penalised here, but Clark will let things continue on. McDougall picked up quickly by Reece Wesser. A piece of marker defence from the fullback. Kafusi will charge his way towards the line. He'll play it back to Dunley. Ferris with Dawn outside him. Has them lining up, or a ball back on the inside for Menzies. When the captain can't take them with the line begging him, you know it's not a good day for the Eagles. 0427 404 404 is the number for the Fox fan poll. You can SMS the last name of your man of the match, and I'm tipping it's a Panther, to 0427 404 404. Those lines are open now until full time.
Keep it there, hold it locked in. It's out.
Gower with the scrum win.
That's one.
Gives it off to Rooney.
Mark it straight.
Girdler.
Tackle 2.
A rare afternoon in 2002 here today. Plenty of ball, plenty of it running into open space as well. Good service from Gower. Lang. But his troubles in 2002. The subject of much discussion after a concussion against the Newcastle Knights in Newcastle some weeks ago now. He has finished out the season in strong fashion as Gower puts the kick in. Rolls it in behind Miles once again. Similar position from whence he made the long break, but this time they pick him up with a good covering tackle by Fatuira.
It's a great chase, that one. He found space, Craig Gower. He put the pressure on with Fatuira. They pulled off a sensational tackle on Robbie Miles, and the Panthers have slackened off over the last 5 minutes. The Eagles have started to play a bit better footy, offloading the ball. They really would like to put another try or 2 on the board before full time.
Kosef. Tackle just outside his 30. Can't wait to hear what Peter Sharp has to say after the game at the media conference. It'll be riveting listening to hear his thoughts on why his side have just been completely outplayed this afternoon. Here's Ferris putting a kick in over the top, and Colin Ward will be penalised. I thought he was probably entitled to shoulder him off the ball there in a one-on-one contest.
No. Colin Ward took him. I've got time out. Colin Ward went out of him, took a step out, and pushed him away from his arm.
They were both competing for the ball after the kick over the top. And here's Ferris. Now, Ward has the line and is entitled to hang on to it. Stephen Clark, well, maybe a little bit sorry for the Eagles at this stage. 38 points behind with 17 left. Gives them one there, perhaps. Not that he's likely to do that. A 50-50 call, perhaps. He went the way of the home team. Menzies now standing there. Gives it to Miles. Comes away to McDougall. The Eagles will get another one. Creary this time scores. He makes it 56 points to 20.
Lovely ball there by Ben McDougall on the back of that penalty from Stephen Clark. They've certainly got some football in them, the Eagles, but they've got to control the ball and pick up their defence. The time might beat them here this afternoon, but they're really starting to test the Eagles out up the middle of the park with inside plays and looking as though they're going one way and then testing the Panthers' honesty on the other side of their defensive line.
From wide out, Ferris can't come up with the conversion attempt. 56 points and 22 it is. And with no pressure on them in the second half, after the Panthers scored the first 2 tries of the second half, they've looked a different football side, but when you trail with that many points, you can play in that fashion, and they've picked up a few tries. Don't forget, about the Fox fan poll. 0427 404 404. All you have to do is SMS the last name of your man of the match. That number again, Brett Kenny,
is 0427 404 404.
The best voiceover man in the business, they say. He is available for work.
I'm just wondering that missed goal by the Eagles then, it could prove costly in the end.
That, with some other comments throughout 2002 from B. Kenny, voiceover man.
Can we get a tape of them?
They've raised eyebrows at times, haven't they? You'll be saying, what about a long-range field goal here next?
Possibility.
Dawn. I think we will put a tape of them together. It'll make interesting listening. Here's Menzies, just short of the halfway line. Creary going across the field to link up with Hopewadi. And now Dunley from dummy half with McDougall breaking tackles, running at Wesser. And he was stopped eventually by Colin Ward after Wesser took the speed off him. Menzies from dummy half on the last tackle. Ferris, they came up quickly. Fatuira couldn't get there in time. And Shipway will score for the Eagles. It's 56 points to 26 with just under 15 minutes left. Go, Birdie. You're keen, aren't you? You think they're a chance still?
Miracles have happened before, was it? Miracles have happened before, but I think we mentioned at half-time that they should come out here with a carefree attitude and throw the football around. That's exactly what they've done now. Been some good movement by the Eagles, some good backing up. This was a case of catch and pass. Hopewadi did well there, turned the ball back inside the Shipway. Good try, and the goal has been kicked.
So you've just got to ask yourself, where was this urgency earlier in the game? It's all right to storm home and just get beaten, but at the end of the day, they will get beaten. They were playing for a position in the top 8. Now that still might happen, but going on today's performance, if they do make the top 8, then they will be easy pickings for whoever plays them.
You've got to turn your attention to perhaps the chance that next week, if they do somehow scrape into the finals, how they would regather themselves and face the prospect of taking on the top-ranked team in the league. And now Menzies again down this left-hand side. McDougall suddenly has recharged those batteries and running like he's just started the game. Ferris looking for options, finds one in Miles. Hasn't been a bad option in this second half. Hopewadi gives it to Dawn, floats a pass out to Shipway, pops the ball back on the inside for Beckett. He gives it to Hopewadi. He finds Ryan Girdler. It was a beautiful pass right on the chest. Unfortunately, Girdler has the white jumper on. Rooney will give it to Martin Lang. They're all racing up off the line, then the Eagles defence to put a hit on Martin Lang. Rorty. Stopped by Kosef. Just over 12 minutes remaining in this game, and the Panthers coasting to a large victory here this afternoon. Colin Ward, the veteran, the much-travelled Colin Ward, saved a great performance in his last game of this season. Here's Donato. Gower tipping over the top. His victory here this afternoon. And with the size of it, the Panthers, of course, have a chance of leapfrogging the Tigers on the points table. Relegate the Tigers back to 13th position as Cross comes up with a tackle on McDougall. Lima. Stopped inside his own 40-metre line. Ferris. Come to Hopewadi, who's come midfield, playing as a 5'8" suddenly. Shipway out in the centres, and here he is running again. Puts the ball back on the inside for Menzies, who gives it to Lenny Beckett. Was set upon straight away by Luke Rooney. Now throwing it around. I'll go down swinging at least. Dunley on the run around with Kosef. Herded back infield where he put a duck under the tackle there of Donato. And Kosef on the last tackle, running with it. Beckett gives it to Hopewadi. He flings it back infield. Menzies gives it to Dunley. He'll grubber in behind them. It was checked by Lang. Towed it forward. Taken spectacularly by Wesser, who comes downfield. Runs away from the tackle there of Kafusi, who comes again and gives him a little bit of what for on the ground. He's had a few of those this afternoon, Reese.
And he's done a great job, Wesser, being in the right spot at the right time. The ball put on the toe, straight into his hands. He's looked dangerous every time he's run it. If he could just stop making a few mistakes that he does happen to do in a game, and he is a player of representative quality.
Here's Gower. A good offload from Fatuira. He's still going to halfback. He'll play it there inside the Manly 10. Here's Girdler giving it to Reese Wesser. And after getting the daily seal of approval, he puts it down behind the post to make it 60 points to 28 to cap off a terrific game and breaks the club record, which he shared up until that point in time with Ryan Girdler for the most tries in a season. A hat-trick today, and he's made it 19 for the year.
Yeah, well, they did get the ball back, and it was two brilliant bits of play by Reese Wesser. First, to get the football, make the run upfield, and then running onto a pass from Girdler. Girdler's had a field day. The Eagles have just hung off him all day, just hitting the gap. And Reese Wesser, what a fine game he has had. And I'll tell you, if he could just cut out those little mistakes that he does make, geez, I'll tell you what, he is a fine player.
He certainly has got a lot of talent, especially in attack, has been shown there. 19 tries for the season. That was all too easy for Reese Wesser. It was almost as if Ryan Girdler decided, well, I'll throw the ball out wide and see what you guys can do. And Wesser just ran straight into a gap. Scored untouched.
Now Girdler from right in front to add to his own tally. 8 from 10 before this one for 16 points. Had a couple of tries to that as well. He has 24 points for the game. About to make it 26, which he does. He's only too shy of his own personal record, which is the club record for most points in a game by an individual. 28, that stands at. And the Panthers lead 62 points to 28, and we are reaching for the history books as we head towards full time here, because the highest scoring match of all time in first grade, as the Eagles kick out on the full from the kickoff. 91 points to 6. The Dragons beat the now Bulldogs back in 1935. 97 points scored in that game. Well, no two teams have ever combined for more than that. We have a chance of cracking the ton here today with 90 points on the board as we speak. And there are still 8 minutes left. I'm going to back it in. Here's Colin Ward.
Well, I'll join you, Warren. I think both these teams have still got some points left in them.
Girdler giving it to Gower. He certainly wants more points. Here's John Cross. Comes back to Girdler, looking for that individual game scoring record as well still. Chad Halliday has had to wait a long time for the Panthers to get out there, but he's out there now playing it to Chris Hicks. Here's Girdler showing it. Oh, he was almost away from the Menzies tackle. Flung it backwards about 15 metres. Came back to Chris Hicks. This will be tackle number 5. And they'll play it just outside the 20. Pritis. He will put it in the air. We saw Lewis score from a similar kick earlier in the game. And now Miles will get it after Creary was actually tackled in the air but got the ball away. McDougall take it away from dummy half. What do you think, Bert? Can we crack the highest score all time here?
I think it's a possibility, and I think Reese Wesser will be the next one to score.
Well, we know it's a possibility. The question was, can they do it, though? Here's a chance for the Panthers. Luke Rooney towing it forward, was dragged out of it by John Hopewadi. Well, that should be a try. The play should have continued on, but Stephen Clark blew the whistle a little bit too quickly.
Could he have awarded a penalty try?
Well, seeing they ended up crossing the line anyway, you'd have probably said that'll do. Here's Pritis though, back on the inside for Gower. There's the try. It only wasted a couple of seconds on the clock. Penrith 66, lead the Eagles 28. Count them, that's 94 points. And after the conversion attempt, which Girdler can tie his own record with, will be one away from the all-time record.
Well, after they were beaten by New Zealand early in the year, the Eagles said it couldn't get much worse. I think it has. I think when you add everything up, they've come so far. They've had a lot to play for, a top 8 position, and coming up against a team who's not in contention, and to put in a performance like this in front of their home crowd is certainly shattering.
Well, it certainly was a good try by the Panthers. I was a little bit disappointed though. Reece Wesser was outside Craig Gower. He was the next man to receive the pass, and I did make a prediction that I thought he would be scoring the next try. But they certainly played very well, the Panthers, and as you say, the Eagles, a big disappointment when you consider they've had such a good season. A lot of people had predicted that they would be fighting out for the wooden spoon. They've got themselves so close, and to let themselves down in this way, very disappointing.
Boy, what a way to miss the finals if the Dragons happen to beat the Knights. Girdler ties his own club record for 28 points in the single game, and he might have a chance to break that before we're done here. Just under 5 minutes left. We have 96 points on the board combined. That Fox fan poll is 0427 404 404. It's all about the numbers suddenly, isn't it? 0427 404 404 is the number. Last chance to SMS the last name of your man of the match to the Fox fan poll. Here's Ferris with the restart. Comes to Wesser. Gives it off to Donato. See if the Panthers can go the length of the field here in a set of 6. You get a price about that at the moment if you're keen. Here's Ward. Play it back to Pritis. Lang. He's still as keen as ever, these forwards, to take the hit-ups and give the backs something to do. Here is John Cross. 15 on his own side of halfway. Perhaps a little chip in over the top or a grubber for Reece Wesser on the last tackle. Here's Waterhouse. Takes it downfield. And the last here, Gower gets to first receiver. He'll get it from Gower. Oh, he put the chip in. It was charged down by Dunley, in fact. They were going for a little chip in over the top. And it was Kafusi who came up with it for the Eagles. Well, the record is still on the line here. The Dragons of 1935 would be quaking in their boots at the moment. It was that record they held in conjunction with Canterbury of 97 points in the single game. Be about to be broken. 3 minutes left. 96 points between these two sides, and that's the only interest at this point in time. Hopewati takes it, pops a ball away for Creary. The wingers suddenly combining in the middle of the park a couple of times. Randall from dummy half will give it to Wooden. A short ball for Kosef, standing there waiting for somebody. He finds Miles. He gives a ball away, knocked on by Creary. Well, that will use up some time on the clock. I want them to do it now. This game will be remembered for a couple of reasons. One, the Eagles, their abysmal showing on the eve of the finals, which they still may make. And of course, we could have the highest total ever.
And another reason, Warren Smith.
Keep it bound in there.
Another reason you forgot to mention.
That is.
NRL on Fox Wednesday night.
Exactly. And I'm still surprised you're still here with your shirt and tie on. And you should have to start loosening the belt, I think.
Well, there was some sort of wager made earlier in the season, which was made off air, but was suddenly made very public. If the Canberra Raiders made the top 8, I would be derobing. And that looks very much a certainty at this stage, doesn't it? Oh, gee. How am I going to talk my way out of this one?
The ratings may go down too after everyone's season.
Stand by. Here's Gower popping a ball and comes away to Halliday. He'll play it. 10 metres on his own side of halfway. Dunley As enthusiastic as ever is Gower, putting a kick in down the field. Was that from inside the 40? I think you might find it was, or if it wasn't, it was all buttons down the sideline though.
I think he was just over the 40-metre line, Warren. He's capped off a fine game, Craig Gower. And the Panthers, they would be not wanting full time to come. They'd be trying to create all the records they possibly can.
Well, this is officially now the second highest combined total in first grade history. And of course, we're talking all the way back to 1908. It's not just recent times we're talking here. Second best before this one was 94 points when the Roosters beat Canterbury in the very same season. 87 points to 7. Well, we've passed that mark by a couple here. We've got less than 50 seconds now to try and break the all-time record. Creary picks it up.
That's amazing, was how you've got all this just off the top of the melon. I just can't believe that.
It's amazing.
All that information.
Been studying that one for years, hoping that they would get that record, and we are a chance here today. Here's Woodard taking it up over the halfway line. Menzies is away. Here's a chance for the record. He puts a kick in. Ward knocks it backwards. Wesser gets there to save the record. We wanted them to break it. Had they scored the Eagles, that would have been the 100 up. And that will do it. Full time, the siren sounds. It's been a remarkable day for a number of reasons, and the Panthers have beaten the Eagles by 68 points to 28, and the Eagles might be on their way out of the finals. And Reece Wesser, no surprise, is the Fox fan poll man of the match.
He was sensational today, Wesser, supporting the football, dangerous every time he carried it. And he had a lot of mates helping him out this afternoon. The forwards were great. Lee Hopkins, Colin Ward, and the halves combination of Gower and Girdler. I'm sure Johnny Lang next year would be hoping that that combination can stay on the field for long periods of time. Of course, at the start of the year, they were missing for a number of games. And I'm sure that man there would be disappointed that he's not taking this side through to the top 8, but be quite pleased with the way they've finished this season, because they have finished very strong.
Well, that brings an end to our live coverage this season on Fox Sports of the minor premiership rounds of the NRL. We do hope you've enjoyed our coverage throughout the season. What about this one to finish it off? The Panthers have beaten the Eagles by 40, 68 points to 28, the second highest scoring combined score of all time. Lewis picked up a hat-trick, as did Wesser. Girdler grabbed a couple. Cross, Waterhouse and Hopkins and Gower scored for the Panthers. Girdler kicked 10. 5 try scorers for the Eagles as they go down by 40, and will now have a nervous half an hour to find out if they will remain in the finals for 2002. On behalf of Laurie Daly, Brett Kenny and all the crew, I'm Warren Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you with our football coverage in 2003, but keep watching right here on Fox Sports.